Imagine losing everything that was meant for you, your future, your family's honor, all for a bowl of stew. Does that sound too crazy to be true? Well, stick around because it actually happened. Abraham, a mighty man of faith, had many children, but his true heir was Isaac, his son with his wife Sarah. But did you know Abraham had another wife named Keturah? She gave him 6 sons, Zimran, Jokshan, Medan, Midian, Ishbak, and Shua. They all had families too, but Abraham's heart was with Isaac, the son of promise. After living a long life of 175 years, Abraham passed away peacefully. His 2 sons, Isaac and Ishmael, buried him together in a special cave. Can you imagine what that must have felt like? 2 brothers who hadn't always been close, coming together to bury their father. But even in death, Abraham made sure Isaac would inherit everything he had. He was the chosen one. Ishmael, Abraham's firstborn, was born to Hagar, Sarah's maidservant. Ishmael's children became powerful leaders, 12 tribes in total, but they lived in constant rivalry with other nations. It was a hard life, full of struggle and conflict. Isaac, Abraham's son, grew up and married Rebekah. But there was a problem. Rebekah couldn't have children. Can you imagine the sadness and fear Isaac must have felt? But Isaac prayed, and God listened. Rebekah became pregnant with not 1, but 2 babies. But wait, this was no ordinary pregnancy. These 2 babies were constantly kicking and fighting in her womb. Rebekah, in her confusion, prayed to God to understand what was happening. And God revealed something shocking. God told Rebekah, 2 nations are in your womb, 2 peoples will be separated. One will be stronger than the other, and the older will serve the younger. What? The older brother, who was supposed to be the leader, would serve the younger? Rebekah had no idea how this would play out, but she knew something big was coming. Finally, the time came. The first baby, Esau, was born. He was all red and covered in hair, looking like a wild animal. His name was Esau, meaning hairy. But then, something even more shocking happened. As Esau was born, his twin brother, Jacob, was holding on to Esau's heel. Jacob's birth was a sign that he would always be in his brother's shadow. As the boys grew, they couldn't have been more different. Esau became a skilled hunter, wild and free, while Jacob stayed close to home, calm and quiet. Isaac, their father, favored Esau because of his hunting skills, while Rebekah loved Jacob, who was more like her. One day, Esau came home famished from a long day of hunting. He was so hungry, his stomach growled louder than a thunderstorm. Jacob, who had been cooking stew, saw an opportunity. "Give me your birthright," Jacob said with a sly grin. Esau, desperate for food, couldn't think straight. "I am starving. What good is my birthright to me right now?" he replied. Jacob wasn't about to let this go. "Swear it," he demanded. So Esau swore an oath, handing over his birthright, the right to inherit everything, to rule over his family, all for a bowl of stew. Can you believe it? Esau gave up everything so easily just to fill his stomach. The older brother, the one who was meant to lead, now had nothing left. After Esau ate the stew and left, he probably didn't even realize the gravity of what he had done. Jacob, on the other hand, must have felt a mix of excitement and shame. He had tricked his brother, but he knew he had won. Esau, however, would soon realize the horror of his decision. Later, Esau realized what he had done. He had given up his birthright, everything he was meant to inherit, for something as simple as food. The regret, the anger, and the shame must have been overwhelming. And just like that, Esau's future was changed forever, all because of a moment of weakness. It's hard to believe, isn't it? But it's true. Esau traded his entire future for a bowl of stew. Sometimes, we can be tempted to give up something important for something right in front of us, but we need to remember, some things are too precious to lose. A simple lie almost destroyed a family? That's exactly what happened when Isaac, the son of Abraham, tried to protect his life by telling a shocking lie, and it almost led to disaster. And how it ended up saving him. It was a time of famine, a terrible drought that had already struck once in Abraham's lifetime. Isaac, Abraham's son, was feeling the pressure. There was barely enough food, and things were getting worse. So, what did he do? He decided to leave the land and go to Egypt, thinking he would be safe there. But God had a different plan for him. God appeared to Isaac and said, "Don't go to Egypt. Stay here where I tell you. I will bless you and your family, and I will give you all this land, just like I promised your father Abraham." Imagine that moment. Fear, uncertainty, and the pressure to do what seemed right versus what God was asking. Isaac, feeling nervous, decided to stay. Isaac and his beautiful wife, Rebekah, settled in the land of Gerar, where the king was named Abimelech. But Isaac was afraid. He was worried that because Rebekah was so stunningly beautiful, the people of Gerar might want to hurt him to take her. So he lied. When people asked about his wife, he said, "She is my sister." Can you imagine the fear Isaac must have felt, lying to everyone, even though he loved Rebekah so much? It was a lie to protect himself, but it put his wife in danger. Isaac had been living in Gerar for a while when, one day, King Abimelech looked out of his window and saw Isaac and Rebekah acting very close. They were clearly not just siblings. Isaac had made a terrible mistake. Abimelech called Isaac in, and with a mix of anger and surprise, asked, "Why did you lie? Why did you say she was your sister?" Isaac, embarrassed and afraid, answered, "I thought I might die because of her beauty." Abimelech was shocked. "What if one of my men had taken your wife? You would have caused a huge problem for us," he said, upset. Isaac's lie could have led to someone else taking Rebekah. Imagine the horror and shame Isaac felt in that moment, realizing how his lie almost ruined everything. Even though Isaac had lied, something amazing happened. Isaac planted crops in the land, and in that very same year, he got 100 times more crops than he had planted. He became rich, super rich. He had more flocks, herds, and servants than anyone could imagine. The Philistines around him were jealous and angry. They could barely believe how much Isaac had been blessed. So, the Philistines did something terrible. They filled the wells that Abraham had dug with dirt, trying to stop Isaac's success. Imagine how frustrating and sad that must have been for Isaac, watching his hard work be destroyed. Soon, King Abimelech saw that Isaac was becoming too powerful. The king didn't want Isaac to stay any longer. "Move away from us. You're too strong now," he said. So Isaac left and moved to the valley of Gerar, still trusting in God's promises. Isaac and his servants went to work, digging wells again, just like his father Abraham had. But trouble followed him. Every time they dug a new well, the herders of Gerar fought with them, claiming the water was theirs. Can you feel Isaac's frustration? The quarrels were endless. Finally, after digging a third well, Isaac found peace. No one fought over it, and he named it Rehoboth, which means room. Isaac felt that now there was space for him to grow, and he could live in peace. That night, God appeared to Isaac and said, "I am the God of your father Abraham. Don't be afraid. I am with you. I will bless you, and I will give you many descendants." Imagine the relief Isaac must have felt hearing that. It was a moment of pure happiness, knowing that no matter how many challenges he faced, God's promises would always stand. Then, something unexpected happened. King Abimelech, the same man who had told Isaac to leave, came to visit him. He brought with him two important men, his advisor and the commander of his army. Isaac was confused and even a bit angry. "Why are you here? You sent me away before," he asked. Abimelech replied, "We've seen that God is with you. We want to make peace with you. Let's make a treaty. We promise not to harm you, just as you didn't harm us when you left." Isaac was surprised and a little suspicious, but he agreed. He made a feast for them, and they ate together, making peace. This moment of peace was a huge relief after so many battles and struggles. The very next day, Isaac's servants came running to him, shouting, "We've found water!" They had dug another well, and it was full of fresh, clean water. Isaac named the well Sheba, and that's when the town of Beersheba got its name. Isaac's family was safe, they had water, and God's promises were coming true. Isaac's heart must have been full of joy and relief. Isaac's journey wasn't easy. It was full of fear, mistakes, and even lies. But through it all, God kept his promises, and Isaac's faith led him to unexpected blessings. What if you got what you've wanted your entire life, but only through a lie? That's exactly what Jacob did to steal his brother's blessing. And what happened next will shock you. Stick around to find out how one trick almost tore a family apart. Isaac was old. His eyes were too weak to see, and he knew his time was running out. He called his older son Esau and said, "My son, I'm about to die soon. Go out and hunt some wild game for me. Prepare it just the way I like it so I can give you my blessing before I go." Isaac's voice was weak, but full of love. This was a big moment for Esau. He was about to receive his father's blessing, the most important gift. But little did Isaac know, there was someone listening. Someone who wasn't happy about this plan at all. Rebekah, Isaac's wife, overheard the conversation. She knew that Jacob, her younger son, should be the one to receive the blessing, not Esau. Rebekah's heart raced. She quickly called Jacob over. "Listen carefully," she whispered. "Your father is about to bless Esau, but I want you to have that blessing instead." Jacob was terrified. "But Mom, Esau is hairy and I'm smooth-skinned. What if Dad touches me and realizes I'm not Esau? He'll curse me." Rebekah didn't hesitate. "Let the curse fall on me. Just do as I say. Go get 2 goats for me, and I'll make the food that Isaac loves." Jacob did exactly as his mother asked. He brought the goats, and Rebekah cooked the food just right. Then she took Esau's clothes, his best clothes, and dressed Jacob in them. She covered his smooth hands and neck with goat skins to make him feel hairy. It was a crazy plan, but Jacob was nervous, and yet he had no choice. Jacob walked into Isaac's room, his heart pounding in his chest. "Father," he said, trying to sound like Esau. Isaac, who was nearly blind, answered, "Who is it?" "I am Esau, your firstborn," Jacob said, his voice shaking. Isaac was suspicious. "How did you find the game so quickly?" Jacob lied again. "The Lord gave me success." Isaac still wasn't sure. He reached out to touch Jacob. "Come here, let me feel you," he said. Isaac touched Jacob's hands, feeling the rough goat skins. "The voice is Jacob's," Isaac muttered, "but the hands feel like Esau's." Jacob was scared, but he pushed on. "I am Esau," he lied again. Isaac, feeling the deception, decided to bless him anyway. He was too weak to argue. Isaac, still unsure, gave Jacob the blessing anyway. He said, "May God bless you with heaven's dew and earth's richness. May nations serve you, and may you rule over your brothers." Jacob left, relieved, but also feeling guilty. He had tricked his father and his brother. As soon as he walked out, Esau came in with the game he had hunted. His face lit up with excitement. "Father, I have your food ready. Bless me now." Isaac trembled violently when he realized what had happened. "Who was it that brought me the food already? I've already given the blessing. He will be blessed." Esau's face turned pale with shock. His mouth dropped open. "Bless me too, Father. Please," he cried, tears in his eyes. His pain was so real, so raw. Isaac's heart broke. "I can't bless you, Esau. Your brother Jacob has already taken it." Esau, furious and heartbroken, shouted, "Isn't he rightly named Jacob? He's tricked me twice now. First, he took my birthright, and now my blessing." Esau's voice shook with anger and sadness. "Please, Father, do you have only one blessing left? Please, bless me too." Isaac felt terrible, but he had already given the blessing away. "You will live by the sword, Esau," Isaac said sadly. "You will serve your brother, but one day you will break free." Esau's rage grew. He clenched his fists and said, "I will kill Jacob." Rebekah heard Esau's plan, and her heart dropped. She quickly called Jacob to her. "Your brother is planning to kill you. You need to run away to my brother Laban's house in Haran. Stay there until Esau calms down." Jacob, terrified, prepared to leave everything behind. His heart was heavy with guilt. He had stolen his brother's blessing, and now he had to leave. Would he ever see his family again? Before Jacob left, Rebekah spoke to Isaac. "I'm disgusted with these Hittite women Esau married. If Jacob marries one of them, I'll have no joy left in my life." Isaac, feeling the tension, agreed. He sent Jacob away to find a wife from his own family. Jacob left, his heart broken. Esau's anger burned like a fire, and Rebekah was filled with regret. This family, once filled with love, was now torn apart by lies and deceit. Isaac had blessed the wrong son, Jacob had tricked his father, and Esau was left to suffer. But was this really the end? Would Jacob ever return? Would Esau forgive him? Only time would tell. Do you think Jacob was wrong for taking his brother's blessing? Was it all Rebekah's fault? This family's story reminds us that sometimes getting what you want isn't always the right way. Lies can hurt, but the truth can heal. Click here to watch our next video on the incredible promise God made to Jacob